what should I ask? Like, okay, we got to the war, and I'll say, how did the communists affect Kabul City?
And your family. Yes.
It's on.
How did the communists affect you in Kabul City?
When the Communist Party took over, after the Russian actually practically came, the two party between Khalq and Parcham party, there was conflict of parties, so that's why the Russian practically brought their soldiers. When the Russian soldiers came, they were taking young generation for military by forcing, of course. At that time I was going to University of Kabul. So in the university there was not much of listening to the teacher or professor. Most of the thing was about the politics. All the students were involved with the Russian. So that's why, therefore, there was no education. Rather, there was silence and talk about Russians and hate and all that. So that's why the Russian vehicles were coming, throwing waters over everybody, shooting, not practically shooting at the students, but the Communist Party would have come over there and take the students to jail if they were talking about the communist regime or whoever was against the Soviet Union. So that's why my family decided to get out of Afghanistan, because there was not much for us. So we left Afghanistan. 1980, I left Afghanistan when I was a student in University of Kabul. I walked actually. I walked for the first 20-25 kilometers out of Kabul city, a place called Jekdalik. A Russian jeep took us there. Actually, that was belonged to Afghan Mujahideen. We pretend that we are going to a wedding ceremony or wedding party. So we had to dress like country people with a turban and just pretend that we are going to a wedding. And once we get out of the Kabul city, by the gate they were asking questions. You guys look like Kabulese, you're like from Kabul. We were saying, no, we were just going to the wedding. We were just from here, from this area, Yakatut area. Then we went there. They took us to a big, like a fort, like a big house. They call it Qala. We spent 2 nights there, and the Mujahideen went to the roadside. They were trying to stop the road, and if there is any Russian vehicle, so attack actually the Russian vehicles. They did their part, but we stayed inside that house, a compound, a big, huge compound. We spent 2 nights there, me and my other brother and a cousin and a friend of me. So actually our goal was to go across the border of Pakistan. After 2 nights, we walked for like 3 other nights to get to the border of Pakistan, Afghanistan. Then we passed. There was not much of problem actually. The Mujahideen was everywhere, groups of Mujahideen. Everybody would welcome at that time, anybody. There was a big deal. Everybody knew everybody's coming out of Kabul city and going to Pakistan. Once we crossed the border, so there was a Pakistan territory. Inside the bus, the Pakistani soldiers noticed that we were kind of stranger. So there was a search, quick search. We had nothing. So we went to Peshawar city, and immediately my dad was already there. Start talking about our college and everything. So actually my father took me and my other brother to Islamia College of Peshawar. The name of the college is Islamia College, but the college is not actually about Islam. The name of the college is Islamic College of Peshawar. So I was supposed to study art there. So they took me for the 3rd grade of college actually to study realism art because I had the background of art. I went there for like 2 or 3 months. Then they come up with something that we have to pay or they're gonna kick us out of that university, because whoever was sponsor for that financial aid, they stopped that. So after that, I stopped college, started working in Peshawar and Rawalpindi, Pakistan. But we are at the meanwhile, my father applied for United States and everything was okay. So they gave us the immigration visa everything worked out very well. 1982, July of 1982, I end up in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I couldn't go to college because of the financial problem. I had to work and support the rest of the family. Like I mentioned, we were a big family. So I had to work in Burlington and go to English courses at the meantime. So for 2-3 years I had to do that. We had a small grocery store in Greensboro. Then I moved to Maryland, actually, me and my other brother. Over there I had a lot of opportunity to go back to college. I started to study English and basic math in Montgomery College, Maryland. And at the meantime, Afghanistan, I was following the news in Afghanistan. Finally, in 1989, the Russian walk out. Actually, they left Afghanistan, and the government of Afghanistan was supposed to defeat Mujahideen. And they did very well, actually. Najibullah, the communist president, who did very well for 1 year or so. And then Mujahideen took over, and of course, once Mujahideen took over, like I mentioned before, overpowered, they fight street by street. There was a street fighting, and Afghanistan turned to a hell because of just civil war between Afghans. And then the Taliban was created in Peshawar, Pakistan by one of the Mujahideen leader, and they were kind of organized very well. They start taking location by location or province by province. Actually, the main goal was to buy the command of each location, because once you buy the commander of a location, actually you bought the territory. So they spent so much money. By the money and power and unity of Taliban, they took over. They took over Kabul finally, just 2 or 3 provinces left, Panjshir and part of Takhar. The rest of Afghanistan for Taliban, actually. Taliban took over Afghanistan, and they were trying to do Sharia the way they believe of Sharia, of Islam. Women can't go out without man. And of course, we had so many of widows. They had to support their families, but they couldn't because according to their law, women can't go out without a man, but there is no man. That was hell. They closed the schools. The turban and beard was part of their type of religion. Everybody knows the actual Islam is not that. It's not about your cloth or your beard. But they had their own things. So they took over Afghanistan for 7 years, no education. The schools were closed or destroyed. The cultural things were closed. The Buddha statues was headed by Taliban just because that is against, actually that is not against Islam, that was part of history. On the past we have seen Prophet Muhammad never touch any of his statues in Egypt or anywhere, but they did it. They bombed the Buddha statues, which is the heritage of not only Afghans, the heritage of the area, the Central Asia. Probably 2,500 years old statues of Buddha, 2 of them, 53 meter and 35 meter. They destroyed that. And finally, the September 11 happened 2 days prior to September 11. On September 9th, one of the Northern Alliance leader, Ahmad Shah Massoud, was killed by 2 Arab cameramen. I don't know what was behind that. So 2 days later, the September 11 happened, and the United States decided to attack Afghanistan or take over Afghanistan and find all Al-Qaeda and Taliban leaders because they were too extreme and all that. So that's why after the United States took over Afghanistan, they had a plan to bring a sort of democracy, and Karzai was president, and I decided that I'm going to help, not only for Afghanistan, for United States, and for myself. I went there as a linguist. I started. At first I was working with Marine Corps, and then I worked with the Army, with the military, And then slowly they find out that I know so much about story and everything. They took me as a cultural advisor. Finally, I end up in Bagram and I wrote a book for school age students. The textbook, civil textbook. I wrote that, and of course, the Americans friends helped me with that book. 40,000 books were established, and that was a very good book about the law, introducing the law of Afghanistan to the people, to the children, to the students. And then when I end up to Kabul city, I was helping high-rank American military, as far as 3-star general. I was doing his speech and giving him advices. That was a great opportunity for me, not only improving my own history background, my own history knowledge, but I was helping, of course, the general as far as the Afghan culture and everything. That was a great opportunity for me. So basically, my experiences in Afghanistan, the very important thing, which is education. Afghan people are so aggressive to learn and study things, because during the Taliban they closed the school and stopped education for women. So therefore they're so aggressive. Once you cut off something from human being, they want that more. So that's why the students and everybody wants to learn. Everybody's going to computer